1 in 5 Americans live with a mental health condition. Half suffer in silence without treatment. Those who do seek support may be forced to wait months for care. Encompass Christian Counseling addresses these concerns by providing mental health and addiction services to help more people experience their worth in Christ. Encompass is working to expand their services and decrease wait times. Learn how you can be part of the solution and help create hope for the community at buildinghopecampaign.org. That's buildinghopecampaign.org. Now, here's today's episode. This is the Third Place podcast coming to you from the JLP CPA sponsored studio. I'm Brian Dolan. Over yonder, Lauren Cuevas.
Home is your first place, work is your second place, and this is your third place where the Christian community gathers.
And you ought to watch this on YouTube occasionally if you don't, because there's things you can pick up on that are not part of the audio. Like Lauren just gave you a double wave, both hand wave.
Hi.
And it was almost a jazz hands wave.
Yeah.
Jazz hands. Hi. That's fun. I like that.
Thank you.
Do you do that a lot, or is that just a spur of the moment kind of improv?
I have no idea.
Okay. You do have a particular point you do, which I like. I can't even imitate it. There's a way you hold your hand that, yeah. Like
It's a down, actually.
You go up and down. You're not going to point straight ahead at someone.
No, it's not. It's
you. Yep. See, YouTube. And if you're listening,
not me, not Hermione, you.
Oh, is that what that person? Is that where you learned it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, but we have links to watch this episode on YouTube, so you just have to look at the show notes and click on it. Or if you're on YouTube, you're annoyed because you're watching already. So we're going to be chatting today with our friend Kathy Nagel. She's going to share with us from Abigail Ministries about unidentified abuse, things that you may not think of as abuse, but when we went through those with her, whoa, they were like really thought-provoking and very clearly abuse.
Yes.
So stick around for that. But first, I wanted to chat a little bit about an article I found on teens and sleeping in. Did you sleep in as a teenager, Lauren?
Yeah. Not until like 2 p.m., but...
Like, what time was sleeping in for you? 7:30? What?
11, noon.
Did your parents make you get up?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. They just didn't.
Do people get forced to wake up?
I think so.
Yeah, and that's part of this study. It says, this is from Psychology Today, if you're the kind of parent who likes your kids to get up early on weekends so they don't get too far off their weekend routine, a new study gives you some evidence on whether or not that's a good idea. And what kind of horrible parent would do that?
Isn't there like brain science that in teen years the brain is changing just as much as it was in infancy?
Probably.
Like it's the next step, and so they need a lot of sleep and they need a lot of food. Just like an infant needs a lot of sleep and needs a lot of food. I'm almost positive that that's some kind of brain science.
I mean, I can't prove it, but I think I've read that as well.
Yeah.
I know the food thing comes into play where I have my 8th grader who, like, a snack is essentially an entire bag of chips. Or, what are you making in the air fryer? Chicken nuggets? How many? 30? And I'm like, 30?
No, he's not making 30.
Absolutely makes 30 chicken nuggets.
Are you kidding? That's a whole bag.
It's like McDonald's doesn't even sell that.
No, they have 20.
We get the family size frozen bag of chicken nuggets, which now we prefer the Aldi brand over the Walmart brand, by the way. And I'm just like, I don't care what you prefer. I'm buying like 600 of them. And they're gone in days.
No way.
Yeah, 30.
Wow.
It's a lot, isn't it?
This is off topic. There's this lady on TikTok who she has a family of 4, probably similar to my kids' ages. She spends $300 a month in groceries.
A month?
Yes. And that, this month, included a party.
So wait, so for the uninitiated, like they must be eating like leaves from the backyard for $300. That's not much money.
No.
How is she doing that? What are they eating?
I don't know.
Rice?
She literally was like, and here's the snacks for the month. And it was one bag of like cheese puffs and one bag of something else. And I was like, my kids are similar ages and they're going through, well, we don't do cheese puffs, but like a bag of chips or veggie straws.
Oh, your kids eat a lot for their age.
Yes.
Have we ever told my favorite Trey story?
Yeah, probably.
On that podcast?
No.
Okay, so my favorite Trey story, my daughter Sophia, who is a senior in high school this year, was babysitting the Cuevas boys.
Yeah.
At the time, they were 1 and 4, right?
No, because this is when I brought Ellis with me, and so he must
It
have
was
been,
just Trey.
yeah, 6 months old or something.
Trey
And
wasn't
no,
6 months
Trey
old.
was 4 or
But
3.
hold on,
something like
coughing. Okay, so sorry. Sophia was getting worried while you were gone because Trey was eating the whole time, and he kept asking for more snacks. In particular, he loves sausages,
Yeah,
and so
Costco,
Sophia had to
Jones
be like,
Farm sausages, not a sponsor.
Let's take a break, Trey. Let's take a little break. And he's like, I'm so hungry. Make me sausages. So she makes sausages, and she brings a little plate with 2 sausages on it. He looks at it. He goes, 2 sausages? That's so stupid.
We were really in a phase of he's not allowed to say stupid.
So the
and
babysitter's
he
there.
gets to say it in front of the babysitter.
Oh, sure. And he was just the audacity of only making 2 sausages for his little self. He eats a lot.
He gets 3 sausages every morning.
I don't blame him. I like sausages. They're good.
I don't know. And there's still just, if there's people at our house, it's just constant. I don't know why. He's just starving. He could have a whole meal and he's still starving. People are not there, not hungry, won't eat.
Well, you're going to spend $300 on just snacks
Oh my
a month
gosh.
for Trey when he's a
Yeah.
teenager.
Yeah, so she spends $300. And she shows what she does. She does a lot of her own, like, making bread. Like, this party she had, like, pork belly sliders or something. And she did 2 pork, maybe it was pulled pork sliders. So it's like 2 pork loins. And then she made her own biscuits. So, like, that's saving money because you're not buying biscuits. You're making them from scratch.
I guess. Yeah, well, I bought like 4 bags of chips on Monday, and today's Thursday, and they're almost gone. They're basically gone. Like party size bags. Just the chips are.
I don't know. I don't know how she does it. She's not like an extreme couponer from what I can see.
Well, she's
She's
going to
been
be the next.
$250 for a month.
She's going to be the next like Ruby. What's her name? Who was famous on YouTube and then abused her kids. It's like
Well, her kids aren't on YouTube. It's just her.
her
talking
kids will
about-
be malnourished, and we're going to read a story about it. They're like, my mom wouldn't feed me so she could have her TikTok videos.
And I think like, I don't know. Maybe they have better portions. They don't. I don't know. But
Well, I mean, I have 4 kids in the house right now, and the
3 of
youngest
which are
is
boys.
11. Yeah, and I mean, we'll do 2 to bless you.
excuse me.
We'll do like 200 to 300 a week,
Yeah.
and I feel like we're doing pretty good. Sometimes I can get away with 150. That's not bad.
No, that's good.
This lady's not feeding her children.
$300 a month. I mean, my kids have food allergies, so we have a lot of alternatives and things we can't eat.
And it's more expensive when you have allergies.
Yeah,
to deal
exactly.
with.
So we're like $175 a week or something like that.
Well, when it comes to sleep, I really could care less how late my kids sleep. I mean, you have to go to school, but in the summertime and the weekends, get up when you want. I don't care. I loved sleeping on the
That
weekends.
was the best.
What kind of rude parent forces their kid to get up so they're not out of their sleep schedule or something? How dumb. Well, turns out science says they're dumb too. And if it's you, you're not dumb. You're really smart. You're just making that bad decision. In a study of 1,877 teens who wore Fitbit activity trackers to monitor
Oh.
their sleep times, then filled out brief surveys that assessed their mental health, researchers found that teens who got some moderate catch-up sleep on the weekends, defined as up to 2 extra hours, were
It's not
less
that much.
likely, it's not much at all, were less likely to have symptoms of anxiety and depression. But teens between the ages of 13 and 18 should be getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah.
So an extra 2 could mean 12.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's like babies.
So
Their brains are transforming so much.
let them sleep.
Yeah.
I have a friend whose wife is anti-nap.
What do you mean?
Like, no one's allowed to nap. There's no napping here.
Why?
Like, if he's tired, too bad. We don't nap.
That's so weird.
I know. I have a hard time not bringing
You're-
it up whenever I see him.
Your body's telling you you're sleepy.
Like, I regularly will be
Sometimes
like,
your immune system's a little depleted. You need a little nap. Like you just did a lot. You woke up early.
so you're pro adult napping.
Yeah, I napped yesterday.
How long?
I don't know, 15 minutes.
But you would have taken more if you got it.
Sure.
I love a nap.
Yeah.
How much time do I have? I'll take a nap. That's what I'll do. So let the kids sleep in. What are you doing? Let the kids sleep. Goodness sakes. Science says they should. All right. Before we get to our conversation with Kathy Nagel, we want to quick thank our sponsors. We have so many wonderful sponsors of this show. You could be one too. Go to stainedglass-media.com. I'm enunciating so I don't say stained glass.
But you're still saying it.
I am. Stainedglass-media.com. Reach out to us. We'd love to get you as to one of our sponsors, but we'll start off by thanking JLP CPAs, who not only are a regular sponsor, but also a studio sponsor. They're a bunch of accountants, accounting firm. That's what they call it in the accounting biz, a firm.
Right.
And they'll do your taxes and all that, but their specialty is for small businesses. So they don't want a small business owner to be overwhelmed by taxes, payroll, financial reporting, balance sheets, things like that. They can take care of all that for you. So you contract with them, your life is easier. They're based out of Hudson here in Northeast Ohio. So you should check it out. Go to jlpcpas.com, jlpcpas.com. Also, you want to retire someday? I do. I wish I could retire right now. How about you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are like, I want to work forever. I don't know what you're doing.
No.
I mean, working's fine, but I'd rather not.
Yeah, I prefer not.
I prefer to hang out.
Yeah.
But anyway, you could have somebody help you with your budgeting, retirement investing, and you could have Dave Safransky and his team at Edgewater Investment Group help you with that. They're not high pressure. They're steady, reliable guidance for real people. From budgeting to investing to retirement, they'll help you plan for something you can believe in. Okay, so go to edgewaterig.com, edgewaterig.com to get started. And then I have a brand new morning show. That's right, a 2-hour morning show on the Upliftd stream, which is a online radio station from our friends at KHCB in Houston. KHCB is a wonderful Christian radio network, and their stream is also a Christian radio network of sorts. And so Upliftd Mornings with Brian is what it's called. And it's from 6 to 8 Central, 7 to 9 Eastern. Lots of music. There'll be some scripture and some talk and silliness like you're used to from me and other things and articles and current events and such. So for more information, go to upliftedstream.org, upliftedstream.org to get connected to that stream, and then mark your calendar or set a reminder or whatever and join me every weekday morning from 6 to 8 Central, 7 to 9 Eastern. Are you going to listen a lot?
Yeah, sure.
That's not true.
I'll try it out.
You will?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Sure.
I'd be so surprised if you did, though. You have to talk to me so much already.
I do.
You get a free stream every day,
Yes.
especially on text.
Stream of consciousness, yeah.
Also, Christian Children's Home of Ohio. They're so amazing. There's lots of kids, tragically, in our community in Northeast Ohio that are experiencing trauma and have been stuck in the foster care system, and they need help. And so our friends at Christian Children's Home of Ohio offer residential treatment, trauma-informed therapy. They have equine therapy, a huge, beautiful campus I got to go visit in the Worcester area. You need to check it out and support this ministry who is really caring for kids who are in crisis. Go to ccho.org, ccho.org.
Yep. Oh, if you like the show, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. Apple, Spotify, YouTube. That way you get a notification when episodes drop. Also, it helps boost our videos and audio so other people can find us. But if you love the show, join us over on Patreon, where you get ad-free content as well as extended content. Our cold opens with all of our guests, or just us. You also get the More Run moment. You can get videos from Daria and Pause for Prayer with Cindy Farini.
All right, with that, we'll jump to our conversation. We'll jump to our conversation with our friend Kathy Nagel. Joining us now on the Third Place podcast is our good friend Kathy Nagel from Abigail Ministries, where she is also a licensed professional clinical counselor. Welcome back, Kathy.
Thanks. Great to be back. Love to see both of you.
Did I get the order right this time? Licensed professional?
Yes, for right now. Yes.
Is it clinical first? I always forget.
Yes, it's clinical. Yeah, my degree is in clinical counseling.
Is there another one that's a LPC?
Yeah, there's a licensed professional counselor. And then if you do an extended residency, then it's a licensed professional clinical counselor.
So I demoted you.
Oh, no, that's all right.
Sorry about that. Now, we love chatting with you about your work at Abigail Ministries because it's not an easy topic, obviously, talking about abuse and relationships. But as you've taught us, Christians are certainly not immune to abuse in relationships. And therefore, we ought to be talking about this because there's no question that God hates abuse. It's just a gross violation of the greatest commandment, and certainly, I think, a violation of marriage vows. So we need to be talking about this. Today, you want to chat about forms of abuse that go unidentified. Now, there's the obvious ones, right? So we've got physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse. What typically would go unidentified?
Some things like financial abuse, where the partner controls the finances to a point that where I'm just going to use the husband and wife analogy here because we minister exclusively to women, but it can be the other way around as well. It's just not as prevalent, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen because the power differential just in physicality typically is like an unstated power differential that allows the man to control the woman, but it can go the other way. And financial abuse would be like only giving a person a certain amount of money for groceries, which is almost not possible to feed the family with, or having them account for every mile on the car or every penny spent at the store. It also can be like coming home, you come home from the grocery store and your partner's like going over every single item and how you could have saved money if you did this or that. It's restricting the spouse's access to health care, things like that, that people don't realize because it's not quite so obvious. It's like controlling the bank accounts, not letting the spouse know anything that is going on with not able to access the accounts online, doesn't know any passwords, doesn't have a clue how much money is in the bank or how much their husband is making, only what, and the woman gives them her check if she's working. It's running up debts. That's a big one because it allows it, what it does is kind of ensure that the wife won't be able to leave because there's so much debt.
Yeah.
And that can be a problem, obviously, or either not allowing the spouse to work or forcing them to work. Either one, it can go either way. And then just basically that whole miserly persona that requires accountability for everything. And that can be very oppressive, especially when you're like trying to feed a family. And sometimes when I see husbands in the grocery store with their wives, I think, I wonder what's happening there. Is this just a casual outing or is this a control dynamic?
Now, I can picture somebody, whether it's the man or the woman in the relationship, pushing back and go, well, she's just terrible with money, Kathy. She's just terrible with money. What's your response to that?
Well, I would say that then help her to learn more about it and help her to go to one of those seminars at church where they talk about finances and budgets and things like that, and bring her on as a team member and equal, not just remove her from all of the back and forth of the responsibility. Sometimes husbands will really resist going to those financial things with their wives. Their wives are really excited about the prospect of having a budget and just knowing, okay, this is what I have to spend and we can afford this much and not more, and helping getting her on the team. But the husband does not want to have the wife have access to that information. And so he really resists those financial planning seminars with her because he doesn't want her participation. So saying that someone is bad with money, I mean, that's what partners are for, is to kind of not just take over the responsibilities, but help the other person to grow, to get the strengths they need. Because at some point they'll be on their own once the spouse is gone.
Well, I could see financial abuse drifting fairly quickly into emotional abuse as well.
Oh, definitely. Because it's belittling. It's like creating a parent-child relationship instead of a partner's relationship. And it can be very limiting. It's another way of isolating the spouse by keeping them at home because they can't afford to participate in like a weekend women's retreat or go out for coffee or whatever. And so that in itself is emotionally depleting. And then it can be intimidating.
Yeah.
What are some other types of unidentified abuse?
Well, intimidation is one, for instance. Like nowadays, people, I think men realize that physical abuse is dangerous to them, in that the wife could report them or the children could report them. And so instead, they try to exercise their power with intimidation. One thing that seems very unlikely but weird and definitely happens is abuse of the pets. It's like harming your family pets. What that basically communicates is mess with me and this will happen to you. I'm in charge here. Mm-hmm. And that's really subtle, and someone may not connect the dots, but that is abusive to the entire family when that happens. And destroying personal property and possessions is another way of intimidating a spouse without actually hurting them physically. Like just one spouse had made something for a friend's daughter's wedding, like a big heart, and the spouse was out. She looked out the window, and the spouse was out in the driveway setting it on fire.
What?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And it's not at all uncommon for spouses to sometimes, like, damage clothing items of the wife. Do like hurt them in that way. By burning things or cutting them up with scissors. And that happens a lot, believe it or not. I mean, I hear these things, sadly, more frequently than anyone really wants to hear them.
That's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was heavily invested in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And they talked about how when Johnny Depp would go around like smashing glasses and bottles, he wasn't harming her physically, but he was scaring her and intimidating her by doing that.
Interesting.
And it was in a form of abuse because he was controlling the house with fear.
Right. That's exactly right. That like you hear about people punching a fist through a wall.
Yeah.
That is like to give people the family this physical evidence of their anger and their power. And,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I actually heard a story of a pastor who found out about actual physical abuse in a marriage relationship. And he went over to the house. And when the husband showed up, the guy ended up punching a hole in the wall right next to the pastor's head.
Gosh.
Again, intimidation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not physically hurting your spouse, but you are scaring them.
Because that'd be scary.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Wow.
You're not going to get arrested.
Yeah.
And
for breaking your own things.
Yeah. Right. And another thing that is intimidating, and it's more of, instead of like trying to overwhelm them with your power, is to be the victim and be threatening suicide.
Oh.
And sadly, that is I was in a support group with women once, and there were probably 15 to 18 people in the room. And I said, how many of your partners had threatened to kill themselves? Every single person in the room raised their hand.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the major manipulation.
Yeah, because then you want to stay around because you don't want it to be, quote, on your hands that they killed themselves.
Yeah, so you tiptoe around them, walking on eggshells, trying to keep them happy, trying to keep your kids calm, everything because you are worried that they may take their own life. And that's an easy way to intimidate someone into submission.
Goodness sakes. And you hear in Christian marriages this happening.
Oh yeah, that's all I've worked with is Christians primarily. Well, I'd say 98% of them are Christians. You know, you mentioned earlier about it not being immune to the church, and that is an interesting point. That it used to be, I think they'd say 1 in 4 women have been in some type of abusive relationship during the course of their life. Now they're saying it's closer to 1 in 3. And in the church, it's more prevalent than it is in the general population, which is surprising, and you wouldn't think that. But people that are particularly in conservative Christian churches believe that they cannot leave and that they need to submit. And so they are more likely to stay under oppression than the general population, because they feel they're always hearing, even from fellow church members and sadly some pastors, that God hates divorce and that you need to submit. And those things are true, but it's also true in Micah where he says God hates divorce, but then in the next sentence or two he says, and he who covers his wife with violence. I think that's in the NIV version. But
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, that drives me so crazy for a number of reasons, but even just the logic of someone prioritizing the value of marriage over, like you can't get divorced. So I guess we'll just overlook abuse. I don't even get the math in that, but I'm terrible at math. I mean, it's just bad theology is what it is, but tragically, it's been a huge part of the church. In fact, I remember that podcast series from Christianity Today, Rise and Fall of Mars Hill. There was a whole section where, because of this toxic manhood they were teaching, there was a number of women who were encouraged to stay in abusive relationships because of their prioritization of submission and of marriage and not getting divorced. It's just sick.
Well, like, where's the priority of people are made in the image of God and shouldn't be abused?
Right.
Where's that priority?
Right.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Goodness sakes. Which is, again, why we talk about this. And I would imagine, I mean, I'm just guessing, and you can correct this, obviously, but I would imagine some of these more unidentified forms of abuse are super rampant among Christians because they're not as obviously abuse, so to speak. So punching someone, yeah, obviously. Name calling, okay, fine. But breaking their stuff, threatening to hurt yourself, I could see that being much more prevalent. Am I crazy on that or what?
no, you're absolutely right. You're right. And also right about the counsel people get. That's one of the reasons that our ministry has been so important, is because so many women get the advice of, well, like turn the other cheek kind of thing. And, when someone is cranky in the morning, that a cheerful outlook is upsetting to them, kind of thing. I don't know where that is in Proverbs, but there's, I was at a conference once with a Christian counselor, not one schooled and licensed, but a Christian counselor who was relating a story about some woman crying to him about her marriage. And he said, you just get back in there and try your best. I just was like, no.
What?
Yeah.
No, how about accountability for the person abusing you?
Right.
And, we've talked about this before, but I think there's plenty of room and latitude for not only separation, but legal separation in these situations as a step towards divorce if necessary, right?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up, Brian. I was thinking of that and I lost my train of thought. But yeah, you can legally separate. And there's nothing, there isn't, I can't pull the scripture up off the top of my head, but there is a scripture about separating. And legal separation completely separates you financially, which is a big part of control, and in every other way, but you are not divorced. So the only thing that is different than a divorce is that you cannot remarry legally. Oftentimes, when a woman files for a legal separation, the man will counter with a divorce. Because if he's behaving like that, the chances are he's really not a Christian. anyhow, and so he's not going to be concerned about that. But you can experience the freedom and peace that comes from being separated physically from your abuser. But it also, like, physical separation will allow you to get some peace of mind, but legal separation separates everything, all the finances, designates the child care arrangements, everything. So there's no fighting over everyday details, and that person, while they may continue to try to exert control, there's a legal boundary there.
And I think it's a good way to measure whether the abusive spouse is actually repentant about their behavior and willing to change.
Absolutely. You're not going to, talk is cheap. And men realize that, but because they rely on actions to interpret things. But women typically, not to stereotype, but we are more sensitive to words. And so when an abuser promises to change, people assume that he will. The average woman leaves maybe 4 to 5 times before she leaves for good, because the fact that the abuser goes back and wins her back over and cajoles her back into the relationship. And then she finally realizes nothing is changing, nor will it change. And it's interesting, they did a study in, I think it was in Oregon or Washington State, where they had jailhouse conversations recorded with between partners who had been, the husband had been incarcerated for abuse. And they listened to something like 400 different conversations and found that there was a whole pattern of how the abuser would woo the victim back into his web and trying to get her to drop charges. And it would start out with like anger and control, because that's what was working for him. And then when he realizes that the woman is not going to submit to that anymore, then he starts in with the memories of, oh, but what we once had, remember when, all of that kind of stuff, and romancing her back in. And then when that doesn't work, then he plays the victim and threatens to take his life and things like that. And then the cycle starts all over again. He gets angry, and it just was predictable. There was actually a pattern in the conversations. And so that's a lot for a woman who's, going out, maybe separating with her children and struggling to withstand that kind of a barrage of manipulation. But knowing the predictability of it helps. And
For sure.
Support groups help people in that we talk a lot about, has he really changed? And we could talk about that on another session, but that is really a critical thing in discerning what is evidence of genuine change.
Yeah.
And not manipulation. Yeah. And, even hearing that pattern and seeing the research, that's why that stuff is so powerful, right? Because it can help a woman identify if she's being manipulated.
Absolutely.
There's like a third party, almost objective way with data to see that. So that's fascinating. Now, we've talked about financial abuse, intimidation. Are there other types of unidentified abuse?
Yes, unfortunately, there's sexual abuse where there's just constant sexual demands. And that could be forcing unwanted sex, or else even critical, hurtful things said to the partner about their own body and physique, to belittle them. And also a big thing is forcing reproductive decisions in pregnancy and sadly sometimes abortion. But a lot of times women in abusive relationships are just ready to get it together to leave. Maybe their youngest is now 4 years old or something, and they think, okay, I think I could leave. They suddenly are pregnant again.
Wow.
And that happens a lot. You'd be amazed at how often it happens, where just when a woman's about to embark on separation, that she finds herself pregnant. And that is a manipulation for sure. And Then also, forcing people to watch pornographic material, things like that. Uh, and treating others as sexual objects and just making demeaning comments, that kind of thing. All of those are forms of sexual abuse.
Now, I know for us it goes without saying, but I think it's worth repeating that if you're married, consent is still required.
Beg your pardon?
If you're married, consent is still required for sex. And I've actually heard popular Christian teachers talking about the idea that really, no, it's not true. If your husband wants to, you really should. You've heard this too.
Yes.
And it's horrible. So no, consent is required.
Yes.
Your wife has value. She has autonomy over her own body, even if you're married. And now I think certainly there's circumstances where we can talk about manipulation with sex and such, but this is not what we're talking about here.
Right.
Like if she doesn't want to, she doesn't have to.
Right.
And if she doesn't want to be pregnant, it's not your choice. You know what I mean? We have to be so clear about these things.
Right.
Because I think there's some bad teaching out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's that simple. There's not even much more to say on it because I don't know where people get the idea that consent isn't required, but Christians do this more than anybody else. I don't know why. It's just weird.
And how do they expect to have a loving relationship when they're, forcing themselves on their partner? I mean, it just, And then I should mention that there's another side to that coin too, and that I hear this frequently as well, where the husband, usually people that are abusive do have some mental health issues. And often they are depressed, and that can affect their sexual interactions as well. And there are a number of women who say that their husbands have not been interested in sex since their honeymoon. And that, that it's like a very infrequent exchange, like once a year, if that. And so that's another form of denying your spouse that is, leads her to feel unattractive, unloved, unwanted. So, I mean, you go both ways. That's why the communication is the key.
Wow. Okay. Are there other types?
Well, there's, spiritual abuse. And that's one that happens a lot in the church where they distort scripture to justify their actions. And they'll even say, well, you can't leave me because God hates divorce, kinds of things. Or they'll bring up about you're supposed to submit. I say that that this is enough money for you for the weekly groceries, and you need to understand that I'm in charge, that kind of thing. Or demanding one-sided submission without exception, like that it's supposed to be they submit to one another, but just demanding that what I say goes all the time is, and always tying it back to I'm the head of the household. You need to submit. Forcing a violation of personal religious beliefs. That can be any kind of thing, or mocking a person's religious beliefs. If the person is wanting to attend church, the partner might sabotage that every Sunday morning. They're trying to come up with some kind of thing that makes it difficult to get out of the house. Or just telling them that she can't go to Bible studies because she needs to be at home with the kids to help with homework, that kind of thing. So restricting her access to strengthening fellowship with other women, saying that he has the authority to punish as the head of the household. What really ends up happening is it evolves into a parent-child relationship. And even Jesus never acted like that with followers, I mean, like punishing people for their, lack of listening to him or whatever. A big one is threatening to report disrespect to the church. Like, if you don't do this, I'm talking to the pastor, and we're going to go in and see what he thinks, kind of thing.
I have to ask you to share some commentary. I know your facial expressions, Lauren, are like, I can't even.
Yeah.
But just give us the really simple, why is that crazy town?
Because they're just like reading one passage in Scripture. They're not reading the whole of Scripture, and they're just reading the one that they want and using just that. They're not reading how, like Kathy said, how Jesus treats people. They're not reading how, like Kathy said, submitting to one another, or that a wife is to submit to a husband that loves her and treats her right, not just any willy-nilly man that tells her what to do.
And I'm going to go tell on the pastor. What are you, a toddler?
Yeah, exactly. Please.
And I would hope the pastor would like almost laugh in his face if that's what he's doing.
Like abusive men love to say, well, you just have to submit to me just because I'm your husband. No, you have to hold up your end of the bargain too, pal.
It's Ephesians 5, right?
Yeah.
People always pull it out of context. It's insane because it starts actually, they skip the beginning.
That's right.
Submit to one another.
That's right.
And then it starts with the women, I guess a ladies first deal. And then the men's expectation, way more big a deal in terms of like difficulty.
Yes. Yes, it should be easy to submit to your husband because he loves you so well and leads your family well, not abuses you.
Yes. If he's doing his part of Ephesians 5
Right.
well, no problem.
Yeah.
But a guy that you're describing, Kathy, not doing his end of Ephesians 5.
It should be like, oh, of course I submit to my husband because he's got great ideas. He loves me and my kids. He makes sure that we're cared for, that we have enough food on the table, that he's not punching walls and breaking stuff in our house. Of course it's easy for me to submit to him.
Well, yeah, and if you have to walk around saying submit to me, you're doing something wrong, right?
Right. You know.
I mean, at some point, you and I are going to have to talk more in detail about this because I get so wound up about it. I know you do too.
Yeah, obviously.
Because people get it so wrong.
Yeah.
And if you love and respect your wife, you're going to think about all of her strengths and you're going to lean into her strengths, not walk around and ask her to submit about everything.
Yeah.
I'm the man. I know better.
Yeah.
Because I'm the man.
That's right. Some of my dearest friends, we all went to Moody together. After being in Moody, trying churches, the husband has decided to become Roman Catholic, okay? He loves Jesus very deeply. The wife has decided to stay in a Protestant church. And he's not saying, as my wife, you must go to this Catholic church and you must convert to Catholicism with me. He respects her opinion and respects her beliefs, and she's able to speak up for herself and say what she believes in and why she believes in it, and they go back and forth and have debates about stuff that's different. And he goes to church with her to the Protestant church too.
So he doesn't stomp and go, submit.
And for her, it makes it easy for her to follow him and to submit to him as husband because he respects her and respects her beliefs and her decisions and her thoughts.
I'm sure you're with that, Kathy.
That's what it looks like. That's a really good example.
Yeah. He's like they have lots of conversations about like when are our kids getting baptized, and sometimes we'll do it like if it's really important for you that they are baptized like a adult or converted baptism and not infant, okay, he will let you do that. And if sometimes it's like I want to do this with our children in the Catholic Church, she's willing to do that because it's a relationship and there's communication about it. And if there's something that's really important to you, we can do that. And it's not control.
Yeah, so good.
That's
okay. We're going to have to find a new spot for our soapbox on that one because we get so wound up. But so we've got financial abuse, intimidation, sexual abuse, spiritual abuse. Are there any more?
Yeah. Well, some things that are actually physical abuse that people wouldn't maybe consider is something like throwing objects, like just missed, like that person that punched the wall, like throwing objects also burning things, like things that aren't going to leave bruises.
Yeah.
But, for instance, refusing to help when sick or injured. Like I've had people that have had to drive themselves to the hospital because their spouse wouldn't acknowledge that they were ill. And that
I'm not going to know when you're ill. Like what?
Yeah.
It's even hard. I'm sorry. We responding. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, I know, but
and unloving.
Yeah. And subjecting them to reckless driving.
Oh no.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, that's scary.
And that talk about feeling powerless. Be in the passenger seat with somebody who's deliberately trying to scare you by driving recklessly.
Oh yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. That.
Wow.
I hear that, and that's a form of abuse that you might not think would be something that you're being abused by. But also, like I mentioned before about burning things, pushing and shoving and holding a person down. And one thing I would say that strangling may leave bruises and provide evidence. So that would, but I will say that if someone is attempting to strangle you in an argument, that you are really in serious danger. There's a risk factor questionnaire that was researched and built by Johns Hopkins University, and they list the various risk factors for homicide, domestic situations. And one of them is if they have attempted to strangle you, because it's one thing to throw things or swing and whatever, which are not acceptable anyhow, but to deliberately have to face the person and try to asphyxiate them is pretty intentional. And so that would be considered an extreme risk for further serious abuse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really helpful information today. And, but before we go, I think it's important for us to remind people, like we have in the past, that, again, God hates abuse. He doesn't want you to be abused by your spouse. He wants you to be safe and get help. And one of the best first steps, and even identifying if you might be in an abusive relationship, is to get connected to Abigail Ministries. So can you remind folks how to connect with you guys?
Sure. We have a Facebook page called Abigail Ministries of Northeast Ohio. And actually on there is a questionnaire from Leslie Vernick on, are you in an emotionally destructive relationship? That might be a good first step for a person that's trying to size this up. And then we have support groups that are offered twice a month online so that you have confidentiality and you don't have to go to a church building, or you can just be in your car even and participate in the support group. And you can, I don't have the number in front of me. Oh, wait, I'll get it. You can also call our number at Abigail and get more information for support groups. The support groups, we show a video, so it's not like you're on the spot to talk the whole time. We do videos on boundaries and abusive, destructive relationships, things like that. But the discussion questions time is especially valuable, but you don't have to participate if you're shy. Like the first time, a lot of people come in and they don't say anything. And then once they start hearing everyone else talking, they're like, oh my gosh. One time a woman was in the group and she was actually a physician, and so had gone through quite a bit of psychological training. And she looked around and said, oh my gosh, did these guys all read the same book? Because what happens is that it is a predictable pattern. And when you start hearing other people and their responses, then your eyes are starting to open, because you can't stay in a relationship like this unless you are in denial, because that's the only way. And that's a natural defense mechanism for coping. But eventually it's necessary to move out of denial and into reality, where you know what's happening and you're ready to do something about it. Okay, thank you.
So Lauren's got the number for us of Abigail Ministries. Lauren, what's that number?
440-281-7136.
All right, 440-281-7136. If you need the excuse, say, Brian and Lauren told me I should call. We want you to get help because the Lord hates that you're in abuse. And don't listen to people who tell you that the most important thing ever is just to stay married. No, your safety is important to the Lord and your well-being. So we're going to start there and go get help from Abigail. What's the website again for Abigail Ministries?
Abigail-ministries.org.
Abigail-ministries.org. All right. Our friend Kathy Nagel from Abigail Ministries has been our guest, longtime friend of Lauren and mine. Thank you so much for your insights and expertise today.
Thanks a lot, both of you. Good to see you, Lauren. Good to see you, Brian.
You too.
You bet. And that'll do it for today's edition of the Third Place Podcast.